Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
So, you've wounded me. I must grow a new claw. Well, good, for I can do it in a day. But will you grow new legs when I have taken yours from you, SpongeBob? Money.
Gruesome Magazine.
Yay!
This is episode 104,
Boy, am I glad that's over.
July 11th, 2021. I am your host, Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly horror films released since the beginning of time. But sometimes the ugly are the best.
What do you mean, maybe?
From the beginning of time through 1969. In each episode, we'll discuss the monsters, spirits, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. So if you like old horror movies, you should subscribe to this. But then if you like good new horror movies, we do a whole bunch of those too. But anyway, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also a bunch of stuff from the Disney Channel on Heroes and Droids. They're doing Loki episode by episode. All right. Also, we are partnered with the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel. The channel launch has been up for a few months and now includes video episodes of us, the classic era. It's available on
Say
Roku,
that like it's a bad thing.
Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, and websites, and all across all these things called OTT platforms. Anyway, check it out. He's got some cool movies there. I've been waiting. I finally waded my way all the way through Thriller, at least the first season. Nice. Of which one of our actors in today's episode was in a pretty good one. With me this week are my incredible co-hosts. Chad Hunt, co-host on Decades of Horror, the 1970s and 1980s. A film producer, director with Wreak Havoc Productions, and a comic book artist and writer, and a man of many names. How you doing, Chad?
Well, I have to say it. I'm feeling a little crabby today.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
People send us feedback sometime that says, "What happened to so-and-so? Is he coming back?" So
it sounds about right.
If so,
and we have one of those for you today. So
that tracks.
Also with us is Daphne, the awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. Although I was hoping for a crab suit today.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, damn!
How you doing?
That would have been awesome. Why did I think of that?
I'm sure you could have done better than our special effects guy on this movie.
Just some really big eyes. I should have made some really big eyes.
Also with us is Joseph Perry, contributing writer to Gruesome Magazine and contributing writer to The Scariest Things, When It Was Cool, Horror Fuel, and Ghastly Grinning websites, Phantom of the Movies Videoscope Magazine, The Drive-In Asylum Zine, and Diabolique Magazine, and co-host of the Uphills Both Way podcast. Joseph, what's shaking?
Gratans, everybody. I've been itching to have social intercourse with you all about this film. You might need a White Claw or two to get through it. But otherwise doing okay. Those were all the puns. So
okay. That was
just in one fell swoop.
You sure it's all? Because I don't want you sneaking one in later on.
I racked my brain for those.
So,
so on this podcast, we always spoil the hell out of them because
I don't want to be shellfish, though. If you guys have some, share. Sorry.
Oh my God.
The most recent.
You see that?
What's Tad saying?
He was going, "What's that guy's problem?" Are we doing it? We're doing a podcast, right?
Yeah, we are.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. So it just feels good to be. It feels good to be. Feels good to be back, Jeff.
That's not all, folks. So on the Decades of Horror, we spoil the heck out of movies. So, if you haven't seen the movie and you're going to be afraid if we tell you what happens in this movie that was made 64 years ago, we are. So you might want to check out the film first. It's available. And on this podcast, we always start off with some basic details about the film and follow that up with first impressions and then move on to some general discussion. So our film today, chosen by Mr. Chad, Attack of the Crab Monsters, 1957. Directed by
What a grill!
Roger Corman. Chad, I was going to use, I didn't upload it. Oh, well. I had a graphic for this with that great big severed hand on it, but I was afraid it might bother you, and I didn't want you to feel like we weren't welcoming you back. So
you don't have it, do you?
I do. I'd have to upload it.
Oh, that's okay. We'll stick with the fatty leg crab people here.
Oh, it's way too late now.
Damn you, Russell Johnson.
Oh, there we go.
And I believe that was Mel Wells' hand. It was chopped off by a falling rock. All right. Chad's gone. We're back to the crab. Okay. Directed by Roger Corman. Written by Charles B. Griffith. Cast including Richard Garland, Pamela Duncan, Russell Johnson, Leslie Bradley, Mel Wells, Richard Cutting, and Ed Nelson. This was an Allied Artists Pictures production. And I don't know, the copyright holder now is Los Altos production. Filming locations was like, I don't know, Bronson Caves in Bronson Canyon in Griffith Park in LA, Leo Carrillo State Beach. You guys know who Leo Carrillo is?
I don't know.
Poncho on the Cisco Kid.
Was it?
You still don't know who it was. I don't know. I
know Poncho,
yeah.
But yeah.
Also,
before
Marineland of the Pacific, Rancho Palos Verdes for the underwater scenes, and Santa Catalina Island, the Channel Islands. Filming dates, it said was November 26th. I know this was a quick production, but I don't think they did it in a day. So that's either the start or end date. Release date for U.S. was February 10th, 1957, and Mexico, July 16th, 1958. Budget, $70,000 estimated, and domestic box office, $1 million.
Not a bad turnaround.
Roger Corman, the man with the golden thumb. Synopsis: scientists become trapped on a shrinking island with intelligent, murderous giant crabs.
I think he's kind of cute.
Those teeth, though.
I think he's squinting his eyes.
Squinting his eyes, and he can't brush his teeth with those eyes.
And that actually is maybe I just laughed so hard at this scene when the nuclear physicist accidentally stepped on the activation plate for
oh my gosh
for their giant tasers.
After so carefully making sure it was aligned with the other one.
I forgot.
He gets it all adjusted and everything. Okay. All right. We've got a few posters here. This is the standard one. And, much to my chagrin, this is this is the cover they used on the Scream Factory Blu-ray, which is out of print, no longer available. But
that's because nobody else wanted any.
Yeah, Chad got his, and now they're done.
I know. And
go ahead.
This scene does not appear in the movie that I can remember.
No, but the crab is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate.
It is, especially the eyes. Yeah,
Mhm.
and
and
the
the teeth.
there is a woman in a bathing suit and
Yeah.
scuba gear. So
Oh,
here's
so you gotta
another
get the
one.
kid into the suits.
Wow.
This is from a couple of years ago. This is actually a more modern take.
Oh yeah,
really?
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then we have I don't know. We have it looks like an atomic explosion in the background,
The
right?
girl's accurate on this one.
Those teeth, though, still.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a mouthful of golf balls or something. I don't know.
It's like
Okay,
that
we've
fish
got-
with human teeth. You ever seen that?
We've got the girl
Yeah.
accurate. The crab isn't bad. So let's add an atomic explosion, a mushroom cloud.
All right, and a Spanish one, and I'm so bummed that Whitney's not here. I mean, it's
I
fairly
know.
obvious. I guess it's Attack of the Monsters, but
Mhm.
That's a pretty cool one.
it is
Mhm.
kind of. She's
Yeah, I like
she's
that one.
scared green.
Mhm.
They borrowed that from another poster, I'm sure. That lady. It
Mhm.
looks pretty familiar. What is going on in the red? I
Oh,
can't
you know
quite
what?
see.
I was,
What?
oh no, I guess not.
Is
Well, I
that-
was
Yeah, I
wondering
have no
about-
idea. It looks like
flying
a
saucer.
a
crab
flying
or something.
saucer or something.
Right. A
Well,
stingray or something? Was it a
I was
stingray?
wondering- Well, you know,
It
this
could
was released on a double bill with Not of This Earth,
Oh.
Oh,
There
and
you go.
Not of This Earth had a thing like that,
Mhm.
yeah,
that-
right.
like a really weird webbed umbrella hat like thing that settled down on people's heads. Anyway, but it doesn't say anything about that. I mean,
Well,
in that bottom
it-
half, it lists the stars for this movie. So
I was gonna say maybe they joined it since like they put the two together because of the
Yep.
just Attack of the Monsters, but if it doesn't have
Mhm.
any of the other actors.
no, it doesn't.
Mhm.
No, it doesn't.
But again, that one at the top, that crab is just spot on,
Yeah,
dead on. Dead on.
exactly.
I've never seen an uglier B movie crab in my life.
It's pretty bad.
Nor
All right.
are you likely to.
Well, at least I invented a new word.
Yes.
Ugular. Sounds like a tire brand.
So in
So,
Are
Spain,
we
so
still doing a podcast?
that
I
was
was thinking
that was a Mexican poster. The Spanish title was El Ataque de los Cangrejos Gigantes, which was basically Attack of the Giant Crabs. And I know this because I used to get a dish at a restaurant called Cangrejo Special that had crab. All righty. Taglines! There's only
Oh,
one.
yeah.
There's only one, and it's everywhere.
Hold your horses there, Jeff. Let me get over there to my tab. All right. From the depths of the sea, a tidal wave of terror. That's. I've never been angered by a tagline before. I don't think.
Well, it was more of a island sinking than a tidal wave, wasn't it? Wasn't that the deal? The
3
island was
weeks
sinking.
away, and he only gets one tagline.
I know. All right. Well, let's get into first
And I
impression.
still complained about it.
Still complained about it.
And since this is Chad's pick,
Explain
go
yourself,
first.
Chad.
when did you first see this? And,
I just saw this yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us, yeah.
I knew of this movie ever since I was a wee lad, and still never picked it up to watch.
Oh,
read
wow.
it, anything. But I was well aware of it because you read about Roger Corman, you read about all that stuff, and didn't watch it until yesterday.
That's why. I've
Okay.
fallen into that trap for this.
Okay,
podcast before.
first of all, this movie has a lot of stuff going on in it.
It does, doesn't it?
You've got crabs that can phase you hit them and your finger goes through them like butter and nothing hurts them, and you've got a sinking island. You've got Russell, professor from Gilligan's Island, still trying to fix radios.
He didn't have any coconuts this time.
That's
why it didn't work.
This was and telepathic ghost crabs from outer space or whatever. And it was. And then the love triangle was just so immersive. I was so into the love triangle. I thought any minute now the professor was going to throw the other guy to the crab just to get away with the girl at the end. But anyway.
Need some romance, boys.
Okay. This is B movie trash. Is what, but it's so corny and bad. You can't look away from it. It's one of those kind of movies. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's a weird little film. Why can't it just be? It's like they tried to really overthink what these crabs are and what they. All the crabs needed was one of those little villain mustaches with a top hat. Yeah, they were so evil sounding, but anyway, yeah, I'm all over the place just like this movie. But it is a fun type of B movie, but there's just a lot of downtime, as Joseph sent us all the cool parts of it, the actiony crab parts. All 4 minutes of them. Yeah, first impression being it's just a B movie. It's one of those giant monster B movies, and Roger Corman is behind it, and you either like that or you don't, because I'm right in the middle on whether I really hate it or really like it.
Right in the middle. Okay.
Well, I'll put it this way. I thought it had some cool concepts for a giant crab movie with eyeballs. Okay, I'm done now.
Miss Daphne.
This was the first time I saw it too. I had heard of it because Roger Corman. I'm kind of like Chad. I don't know how. Sometimes I had a lot of fun watching it. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but I had so much fun watching it, and I love seeing the professor. I loved all the wacky bad costumes and the strange dialogue, and I thought it was fun. I really liked it. I really, really liked it. I guess that's it.
Okay. Joseph, taste the milk of chocolate and give us your words.
All right. Well, I'm so glad, Chad, that you didn't say this is one of my all-time favorite films. I've loved it since I was 5 years old, because I can be a little more honest now. But yes, so Chad alluded to the fact that I sent everybody on the Grue-Crew here. YouTube clip was all 4 minutes and about 12 seconds of the crab scenes from Attack of the Crab Monsters. And I sent that before I watched it, but I had a feeling. But, like Chad and Daphne said, there are fun parts to it. It's a bit to sit through, but when you're done with it, your mind is blown at how much they try to shove into one 1 hour film. Yet still, it seemed long. So, yeah. And what's interesting, I'm sure we're going to get to this later, but Jeff, who was the screenwriter again, please?
Charles Griffith.
Griffith, right. So, let's see. Corman asked Griffith to pack every scene with suspense or action, correct?
Yeah, or expectation thereof. Yeah.
Okay, so. Well, I think he got expectation and exposition mixed up, because not every scene is packed with suspense and action. We do get some. If you find.
I like it when his fingers do that.
Oh, buddy.
Almost looks like a rap star.
And this is where, when he comes back, he says, and that's the most profound thing I've.
Yeah.
Work.
Oh.
That was all I had to say anyway. So if I
I knew it. I knew it.
Fastest gang sign throw in the history of.
So the it was like 7 minutes. Every 7 minutes was supposed to have like some kind of something, you know.
Yeah.
And supposedly
you've been gone 7 minutes, Joseph.
wow.
And
By our time,
Seems like
somehow it was supposed to come out as he had Griffith and Corman sat down and supposedly worked it all out. But I'm with you, Joseph. I knew that too, and I was looking for it, and I wasn't seeing it. So, somewhat unlike these guys, I had seen this before and thought it was really bad, but now watching it with, our classic era glasses, I guess, I just absolutely loved it. I had a great time watching this. It's really bad. I mean, the crab is really bad, and but
sounds like he's describing a restaurant experience.
Yeah, right. The crab is bad.
The crab was bad.
Crab was
Science,
bad.
Joseph, did this fit your science requirements? I mean,
Oh my gosh. They saved it for the third act this time instead of giving it to us in the first act. So when it should be at the height of suspense, let's give them some science now.
I am transmitting, so you must be receiving somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Do not step on the disc.
like a candle holder or an axe or a pick or a gun. They would just show this close-up shot of some weird inanimate object while the crab was talking in their heads. And at first I was like, what is that there for? No, I love this film. I love the fact that Russell Johnson is in it. I love the fact, I don't know, it would be genius if the guys from Gilligan Island saw this and said, that's the guy we need for the professor. He's got to always be working on the radio.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was what happened. Anyway.
At least he got those two off the island.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Or did he?
Yeah, nobody lives in this movie. Nobody lives in this movie. Well, speaking of Charles Griffith, he also penned
there's Not of This
Conquered
Earth.
the World, Not of This Earth, and
There's your little screaming lady down there.
Yeah.
Bucket of Blood. Oh, that is.
And the spaceship
I
thing.
knew I saw that somewhere before.
It's like they mixed those together, but then didn't put it on the poster.
Pre-Photoshop.
And that
glue and
is.
paste.
Yeah. That is very weird. Good catch there. And I always like this Bucket of Blood poster, which we have done.
Yeah.
It's I can't imagine anybody, you want something that makes an impact on first look, but it's the kind of thing that draws me in and I want to read the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He also wrote Little Shop of Horrors, went on to write The Wild Angels, which starred Peter Fonda, which is generally thought of as kind of the precursor to Easy Rider. Death Race 2000. And Eat My Dust, which he directed too.
I know the tagline for that movie.
Oh,
What is that?
Ron Howard pops the clutch and tells the world to eat my dust.
Nice.
now that's a tagline.
Now,
It doesn't say Little Opie pops the clutch.
I forgot
somewhere
that one,
a
but
synapse just went.
I remember when this hit the drive-ins and this ad was in all the newspapers, and I was, much younger, but I just knew Ron Howard from. Was this pre-Happy Days or
I think it was
early
or before.
during-
I think it was before Happy Days. I want to
Before,
say mid 70s or
when he was still thought of as Opie.
Opie.
yeah, everybody thought he was Opie, and he was
So
trying to do
Opie-
all these kind of roles to kind
Yeah.
of toughen him up a little bit, his image.
Who knew where he would wind up? Wow.
I don't know where he is.
I thought it was a little later. I'm just looking quickly.
The more
that's
trivia
right.
questions we have, the more work Jeff has to do during the episode.
Yeah.
He needs
So
to
he
know.
might-
He wants to know.
Eat My Dust was 1976.
I like the way you say that.
And Happy Days was 70,
Later 70s, wasn't it?
77, something like that. I think so. When did they go from the 50s to the 60s on Happy Days? That's my big question.
Happy Days is 74 to 84. So he would already been
Oh,
in
okay.
Happy
So he had
Days.
already been in Happy Days?
Yeah. And
Hmm,
Happy Days
disturbing.
actually started out as a segment of Love American Style,
Mhm.
I remember that. I saw that.
Wow.
They
which
used-
was
They used
very
the P
interesting.
word.
They used
They
the
used
P word.
P word of pregnant. It was
Oh,
controversial.
Oh.
well, what I remember, and now maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but I thought it was their family got a TV set,
Yeah.
and so people wanted to come over and watch the TV, and then at the very end of the show, his dad, the TV
Oh,
signing
wow.
off, and they're playing the national anthem, and his dad stands up and sings the national anthem in the living room.
That's
I think
how-
maybe
That's how bad this movie is.
We're talking about Love
We're
American
talking
Style.
about-
We start talking about Eat My Dust, goes to Happy Days. We're going
Ron
down.
Howard's career.
Ron Howard's whole career, and then skips that over to another show, Love American Style.
And
Well,
what
I'm
a show.
gonna transition into Clint Howard's career.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah,
just
we
see
could talk
all
about
the
Star
directed.
Trek. Yeah.
So Charles Griffith also directed Dr. Heckle
Who's
and
Charles
Mr. Hype.
Mr. What? Hyde?
Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hype, which was with Oliver Reed in the late
Ooh.
late 1980 is what it says. Yeah,
Sounds more like a current hip hop film.
Yeah, it does.
Mr. Hyde.
it's a
Yeah,
it's
boy.
a
Oliver
Dr.
Reed.
Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but they use
What is the role? I'll take it.
he plays
My Oliver
the
Reed.
it's almost kind of like what's the Jerry Lewis the Nutty Professor. It's almost like that. He morphs into Buddy Love, the suave, attractive.
Yeah.
Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed turns into this suave playboy who's like mean to women.
I bet he was
he's-
still all sweaty.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Huh.
This show would be heavily
anybody
edited.
know where the rails went?
I recently watched a great Tonight Show clip with Oliver Reed and Shelley Winters.
Ooh.
She was out of her mind, and he was being interviewed, and she tried to just take over the show, and he wasn't having it. So, if you're interested in Oliver Reed, look that clip up on YouTube.
I will check it
I
out.
highly
Is that
recommend
the
it.
one where he insults her or something? And then she says,
Very,
"Why did you say that on TV or something?" Maybe they don't. Maybe they've been on multiple episodes. And I'm
Yeah,
thinking of
right.
something else.
After the first episode, those two together are dynamite.
We get
Look
them
them
back
both.
on here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay in the
Oh,
exact same
this
spot, so when Jeff edits this out, it didn't look like a movie at all.
thank you. I appreciate that. So Charles Griffith, this guy,
We have to fill the hour somehow.
so he's done tons of these B movie scripts, some of which hit, and become classics later on. And frankly, I think this is one of them. It's pretty well known, I think. But he has some weird statements about these. Like he says that, his first script was for a Western for Corman. And most of the stuff he did was connected to Corman in some way or another. But he had a comment that was sort of like, yeah, I probably should have wrote like, a really important movie script, but I was too lazy, and Roger just kept coming around.
Hey, if the work's there.
Okay, yeah. I guess.
And then he actually had some kind of negative stuff to say about Roger. People called him a genius and an innovator or something like that. And he goes, well, yeah, he was that. He was an innovator, but he wasn't a genius. He got way too tight, and all he worried about was money.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Which we've heard that, something similar to that from other places. So anyway, Charles B. Griffith, who actually was the sailor that fell off the raft and lost his head right at the beginning.
And
my
nobody,
favorite episode. My favorite scene.
I was going, is this a whole season we got to watch of this?
So
they just bring him up and the head's gone. The head's gone, and they're just like, his head's gone. Wrap him up and throw him on the wall.
they don't say much more about him, right?
No.
Did they get him? Yes, but his head was gone.
At that point, did they even know who? Did they get him?
They didn't seem concerned about it.
They didn't. No, they didn't. Well, that was their
pufferfish incident.
Yeah, that was their spot of tension. They had to move on to the next scene.
It was the 7 minutes.
Yeah,
it's a lean, mean hour machine.
So Griffith also directed the underwater scenes.
They weren't bad.
I want to know who made those eyeballs. That's what I want to know.
Let's get to the important
I've
stuff.
never seen anything so weird in my life.
We do know that it wasn't Paul Blaisdell.
Because I could have sworn it was
denied
Paul
it.
No, he actually said, "I'm not doing this movie because you're not paying enough money for what it's going to cost to make that thing."
That explains a lot.
Yeah. Okay, then.
He turned it down. All right. Well, let's look at the cast here. And I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we got basically I don't know what do we got there, 6, 7, 8, 9 people on this island after Ed Nelson leaves and his plane blows up. But we have Ed Nelson on the left, who played the Lieutenant Quinlan, who left fairly quickly, right, on that seaplane, and then it blew up.
Yes. The unexplained explosion.
The incredibly clever crab exploded the plane somehow, probably by transmitting, and something was receiving somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Received the explosion.
Richard Garland played
the whole thing right here.
Yeah, Richard Garland played Dale Brewer. Pamela Duncan was Martha Hunter. Mel Wells was Jules Devereaux. Okay, what was his accent? Anybody?
Jules Devereaux.
He was the Frenchiest French person.
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
And then at the lower picture, Richard Cutting played Dr. James Carson. And then Leslie Bradley played Dr. Carl Weigand, who got mixed up and stepped on the taser plate. And he had an interesting accent too.
Those sunglasses he has on right there.
Yeah.
Did you notice how they appeared when he yells over the pit and then they mysteriously disappear? But every time he's screaming into the pit, it must be bright in there because he's got his glasses on.
Those are the same sunglasses used in Not of This Earth. I don't know if that's true.
I don't think
I wouldn't doubt it with Corman.
They probably were.
Looks like the same guy.
If Wells gets to do a French accent, I'm going to do a German accent.
Yes.
All right, whatever you guys want.
And we'll kind of slide in and out of back and forth between French and German while we go.
Yeah, right.
So I recognize, you guys probably don't, but I recognize everybody here except Pamela Duncan. Every one of these guys I've seen in
Jeff, that's impossible because I read her
60s.
IMDb and she is in so many westerns. I was waiting for you to talk about Martha Hunter's career. You need to look it up. I'm serious.
But I didn't recognize her.
Again, another bucket of disrespect heaped upon this movie.
Yeah, right.
We're putting the fire out in reverse, guys.
So they'll
take her out of the swimsuit and put her in a drab schoolmarm costume from Westerns.
Well,
that's why you didn't recognize her.
There you go. So here's the other three we left out. We've got the two sailors and Russell Johnson, who plays Hank Chapman.
Please don't say it. Please don't say it.
Hank, I'm not a scientist. I'm a technician, Chapman.
Right.
And then Tony Miller is Seaman Jack Summers. And Beach Dickerson is Seaman Ron Fellows. And I swear there was one scene where the two of them
quit.
And
oh, that's all bad right there.
The two of those.
Seaman Dickerson, Seaman spunky.
Bye.
Chad, you mentioned
too much for it.
Continuity issue with the sunglasses. I swear there was a scene where they were standing up on top of the cliff, and Beach Dickerson was on the right, Tony Miller was on the left, and then they pan down, and when they go back up, they're on the other side.
Yeah.
That was great.
See, now look at this. Russell Johnson gets relegated to "And the Rest."
Yes.
Billing on this one too.
Well, this went
could have been a seaman.
For me, it had more to do with the pictures I could find and how they were grouped together. That's how they ended up there.
Okay.
And he has to hang out with the seaman. Is that what you're saying?
Something like that.
All right.
For those of you who missed it, I'll repeat my pun that the seamen were very spunky in this film.
I didn't miss
There was a lot of talking over each other. I know you didn't, Daphne, but the others did because we're all talking over each other.
Okay.
The problem any of the characters in this movie had.
He begged me not to say it. All right, Russell Johnson.
And then look at Gilligan's hat that goes along with this whole thing.
It is.
Seaman thing.
That's so Russell Johnson was in It Came from Outer Space. He was in This Island Earth, and wow, Gilligan.
Quite seriously, weird. He's been in some really famous science fiction films. But, rather than being thought of for that, he's the professor. And when you see him in these, the professor's in this one.
And it's one of those. It's one of those shows too that we think of that it was around for a long time. But it wasn't. It was only 3 seasons.
No. Yeah. But it's been in reruns ever since. That's why we think
it was on after school when you got home. It was on the weekend, et cetera, et cetera.
Almost as much as I Love Lucy. Almost. Which is always playing somewhere in the world, is what I've read.
So he had a pretty long and varied career. I mean, you're right, Joseph. He had like 100 and so I look at 174 credits, 172 credits on IMDb, and he was in tons of TV shows during that time period. Like I said, I just saw him in an episode of Thriller that was pretty good. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Richard Garland, who also was in some early science fiction movies in the 50s. Well, actually, one of them was 60s Panic in Year Zero in 1962. And I believe he was in something else earlier. I've lost what that was. But apparently he had The Undead movie that came after this, which was a very strange movie. Anyway, but tons of Westerns and just every kind of sitcom or television show that you can think of.
I don't think we've mentioned Attack of the Crab Monsters for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah. Well, Richard Garland. Okay.
I don't know those people.
We had to fill the hour somehow.
Richard Garland was died when he was 41. They said he was a alcoholic and died of complications of the disease, is what they said. So in 1969, he was gone. Even so, he had 81 credits. So just by the age of 80 or 41, he had done a lot of stuff and multiple episodes of a lot of stuff. So what did you, let's talk about the cast in general. How did you think that they did? I don't know if I can really talk about the writing and the direction is so like,
you know, I think the cast photos again, Jeff, and we can just go through kind of that way. So can you put up the Navy guys first? Let's start with the B levels. And yeah, there you go. So I thought Miller and Dickerson were really fun in their roles. I mean, they put a lot of energy and pizzazz into it, and kind of the cliches of the wacky lower ranked Navy guys that were happening in films, you know, like McHale's Navy and stuff like that, right? They were definitely of that ilk. And then yeah, Johnson was great as the technician with a chip on his shoulder for being mistaken as a scientist. Little did Johnson know. But I'm a scientist, not a technician. That's why I can't get these coconut radios to work. So
I'm not doing anything.
I thought it's interesting that they used Johnson as beefcake too. And we mentioned the love triangle earlier on. Man, talk about trying to force that into the script. That came from out of nowhere.
Yeah, because he was sort of a background character for the first like quarter of the movie or whatever.
Since we're down here in the cave alone, I might as well give it a shot.
I know you're going with that loser upstairs, but give me a smooch, baby.
And I thought the other two scientists were married because he kept calling her honey, and they never they made it seem like they were already married. So when they revealed later they weren't, oh, okay, well at least he's not going after a married scientist lady. So, but so these two guys were comic relief, and there he is in the middle being non-comic relief, obviously. So that's what I have to say about these three. And then when you guys are finished, let's look at the other cast members. I have much to say about them too. In my non-committal
comments, anybody?
Oh, I thought we was taking turns.
It's your turn. I'm done with these guys.
Yeah, I kind of love these two guys here. It reminded me of a Abbott and Costello type, something they would play in movies and stuff like that. So the banter back and forth between those guys was cool and funny. And yeah, Russell came out of nowhere. Like you said, I wasn't expecting that, you know?
Yeah.
But you were right, Joseph. They had a plunger and they were just trying to cram that whole storyline in at the end. And, but it was
do it in the first
act. But yeah, the performances were good, and I like looking. All the crab scenes were the best. Okay, so I like the way they had the little as they move the crab along. You have this little matted in rock formation at the bottom, so the crab's going like that, so you can't see the hand inside the crab. But stuff like that I love.
Most of the time.
Seeing the zippers. Yeah, I like trying to figure out how stuff works when they do stuff like that. So it was. The crabs were awesome. The crabs were awesome.
I think the eyelids and the joints were like plastic bags or something. Didn't it look like they were just? I don't know.
I don't know.
Daphne, anything about the Beach Dickerson and Tony Miller?
Not anything to add, really.
Okay.
Just that's the greatest name in the history of mankind. Beach Dickerson.
Beach Dickerson.
Yeah, it is.
And he's a seaman.
Type of movie.
Yeah. It's in the right movie. He was also in Rock All Night.
I knew that.
The Corman film.
Where he played Tank Albertson.
I did. Whenever there's Navy guys. I just always just look at their uniforms and just wonder why. That's how I spend my time.
Why their uniforms are like that?
Well, it really makes me want to. I really wanted to investigate. Like, I'm serious. I really want to look into like why do they have the white legs and what's with the white hat. That's where my mind was. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Whenever I see this movie, guys, it makes me want to. Oh my gosh.
No. This is from
very
this
wholesome.
Is perfect. This is perfect. Daphne likes to look at costume design and that
costume
kind of stuff,
design. Yes, and
I
this
see.
is that. Yeah, someone
Okay.
at work has commented on. She's always saying she loves my wholesomeness. So
I need to ask my. My son was in the Navy, so I should ask him. I never thought about that, but I guess I did think about it, but I just like them.
it just seems so impractical, and I know that the military probably put a lot of thought into it. I don't understand why the pant legs are always flared, and I don't understand what's going on with the hats. So
I
Well, you
think
say you were in the Navy, but where's your
tradition
beanie?
run rampant. I think.
probably.
I have never thought about that in my entire life, but from now on, I will think of it every time.
And what's
All
with
my
the
movie picks are gonna have.
what's with the
Navy guys.
flap that goes
Welcome
over
to a
the
life-changing episode of DOH, the classic.
Next up,
Maybe-
the
maybe
Navy versus
somebody.
the Night Monsters.
Anybody can has that. If anybody has managed to make it this far, please, and knows the answer to this question.
If you didn't, you don't know what you're missing.
So yeah, so
So no, I have nothing to add. Sorry.
Joseph brought up Russell Johnson, and he's down in the cave. He's down in the cave with Pamela Duncan,
So to speak.
and they in 2 lines develop a triangle.
Yeah.
You know, like, where are you
Yeah.
from? Oh, I did this. Oh, my parents wanted this. He's leaning in for the kiss until the crab makes a noise, and that was like,
Yeah. Never mind the crab monster threat.
can we
remember
shoot that again?
correctly-
I could do it better. No, we're going with the first cut.
I gotta go.
If
I
I
gotta move
remember
in on this
correctly-
guy's woman.
One of the first lines when they were both down in the cave was, "We'd better get to work," and he sure did.
Yeah, immediately.
Let me see who else is in this
He sure did.
series of photos here. So I thought Pamela Duncan did a great job. She, it was the role of the 1950s role of the female scientist who happens to be the only female in the bunch, and she happens to be very attractive. So, there's your love triangle that they forgot to shoehorn in until the third act. But she was great, I thought. And Garland as Dale Brewer. Everybody was good. There was no there is some questionable lines, but I think the performances were all good and they delivered them as well as they could, although the accents that we mentioned are questionable. Poor Ed Nelson only got a few minutes in, but he did a nice job. Mel Wells, wow, I'll be in the movie, Corman, but I get to do whatever I want with accents, right? Yep, go for it. All right, and I said Bradley, same thing. Oh, if he gets to, I get to. Okay, right.
This is the way my dog talks.
And
My
Cutting
Doberman, my
was
German Shepherd.
very serious, wasn't he? Throughout.
He was. He didn't last too long. I think he was the first one to be assimilated, wasn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And how they?
I'm going to save.
Okay,
Go for it, Jeff.
no, finish what you were going to say.
Well, I think we're going to talk about it later. We're talking about the cast now. We're trying to concentrate on focusing here. But I was going to say later we'll talk about the first time we hear the disembodied voices of the deceased. What our first thoughts about that were. Let's save that for later, though.
I like what you were saying about the Pamela Duncan. She did good, but the character was exactly how you described it. Female scientist, love triangle. And also she needed to go get some food ready. I remember I said, well, looks like I need to go get some food. Looks like I need to get some food out here.
I'm a scientist.
I'm a biologist, damn it.
Cook. Yeah. I'm a biologist and a cook. Damn it.
I specialize in seafood. Yes. Well, anyway.
I didn't like.
Yeah, you're right, Joseph. I didn't for some reason. I hadn't checked it out a bunch before, but yeah, she had a really packed career through middle of the 60s. 100 credits. In about 15 years.
Yeah.
So she was in tons of stuff. And I did try to look at some pictures, and one of the pictures I saw from a Western, nobody's really gone and looked for pictures of her because they're all like grainy newspaper photos in her bio.
Wow.
or posters. So you don't see pictures of her in character, but the one I did see, she was blonde.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I could see that would make a big difference. Lots of TV, lots of The Adventures of Jim Bowie, Highway Patrol, and most of these shows she did a couple of episodes on as different characters. Wyatt Earp, Tombstone Territory.
I told you.
Yes, you did. Well, now I have to keep looking, but no Batman. All right.
No Batman.
But yeah, she did fine, but she was a thankless job. I mean, they kept telling her, I loved it where they were on there's that one road going down the side of the cliff that they were always running up and down.
Yeah.
Here, we're going to go down into the cave and risk our lives. You go back to the cabin. And she'd stand there and look around and then follow them.
Yeah.
I never.
Stay here. Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's a good thing she did. Because incompetence couldn't have done anything without her. Cutting their legs off with lasers and stuff like that.
Let's see. Leslie Bradley. Him, I recognize him in this picture, but man, his IMDb profile picture is very strange. He also had about 90 credits.
All the IMDb.
I know.
What's that?
I said you're sending us all to IMDb right now.
Yes, everybody go there. Quit watching the video.
See this picture Jeff's talking about. Well, that is unusual, Jeff. That must be from the Crimson Pirate.
It says he was on the Wanted Dead or Alive as Marshall Thompson.
Oh, as a regular?
Yeah. I don't remember him.
He was in a bunch of westerns too, Jeff.
Yeah, everybody was. If you worked in TV in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All his photos are from the Crimson Pirate, I think. At least that first page there. Anyway, I'm back. On the
episode of the Twilight Zone. Also, just one episode of Wanted Dead or Alive. But yeah.
Oh, was it just one? It looked like.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of stuff. And then I know that I've seen Mr. Cutting, Richard Cutting had 100-something credits.
Oh, okay. That's why.
And same thing. His last credits in 1967. So he did 12 episodes of Wagon Train. And it appears that they were all different characters.
How were none of these people in a Batman episode? That's pretty amazing.
He was in a Green Hornet episode.
Ooh, we're getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
It's close.
Did he play a villain, or does it say?
Character? Well, it does say the name of the character. Professor Miller. Is it possible? Program for Death was the title of the episode.
I don't
three
specifically
Maverick
remember that.
3 Maverick episodes. I think they pretty much back then just figured out, you know, 1 episode per year and nobody's going to know the difference. Right.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah,
Mel Wells. We have to talk about Mel Wells.
That's
This is
not-
Mel Wells.
there's Mel.
Younger and an older picture, and there he is as Travis Mushnick in Little Shop of Horrors, alongside Dick Miller and a couple other folks. So, and this is a you know, same screenwriter, but Mel Wells has kind of injected himself in our podcast a few other times.
Yeah.
He played one of the henchmen in Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. And
Number
he
3,
was
I believe.
he was the writer in Island of the Doomed, or that we called Man-Eater from Hydra.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think maybe he was the writer in terms of he had a company, right? That he did translations and dubbing of European movies.
Right. I remember that.
Hence the accents, I guess.
I picked this one up on a certain job. I'm going to try it out here.
Exactly.
Did you guys do Lady Frankenstein without me? Is that why the poster's here?
We did it on the
mentioned-
70s. We did it on the
Oh,
70s.
okay. I thought it must have been early 70s. There.
It is.
In a
It
good
is.
way.
And I believe, did he direct that?
Quite possible.
He does a little bit of everything. You know, you look in he's got 105 acting credits, which includes Chopping Mall, I believe.
Yeah.
Directed 7 credits, producer, writer 5 credits. So he wrote Lady Frankenstein and he directed it.
I don't know if I'd own up to that one.
Yeah. Well, that
Dude
might
was
be another
always
one.
working.
You know, I'm thinking that's one of those ones where, you know, do you get director's credit for directing the dubbing, the actors in the dubbing and that kind of stuff? I don't know.
It's probably more of a voice. They hire somebody to do that,
Voice direction.
like a voice director. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
he just
sure.
directed Joseph Cotton, and anyway, yeah, we did that on 70s. I don't recall being really impressed with it, but it's
It's
a
out
movie to
there.
watch. It is a movie. So anyway, yeah, Mel Wells. And then I think we've already talked about this, but you know, the crabs. Crabs are crabs.
Look at those eyes. Who could not love
No.
those eyes?
Mhm.
Oh my.
And they never
Yeah.
actually.
They never actually made eye contact with any of the actors.
No.
They're always
Well, it's
looking
like, and it's like their human eyes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
up. They're human eyes.
so yeah, somehow or another, they ingested the people, and that gave them the memories and the voice of the person they ingested, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somehow
It
they
was a
were
real scientific sounding.
somehow they were telepathic into inert metal objects just wherever. It's just an amazing thing. And then, so was the whole thing with that tower at the end. So the island's sinking, right? And the water's coming up in the caves. And then at the end, we get down to where there's just this little rock promontory and our love triangles on the top. And Russell Johnson's character, I don't know. I love the way that they would like, oh my God, it's just too much. So Richard Garland, Dave Brewer, he tries to fight it off with a hatchet.
Which we already know doesn't work.
Didn't
Right.
work.
And then they shoot him.
Didn't work.
Russell Johnson shoots at him with a handgun.
Didn't
Then
work.
work.
they throw grenades at him. Doesn't work.
Boom, nothing.
We,
The only,
everything we
although-
already know doesn't work.
the grenade, the time where a stalactite falls into it, and that works.
Yeah.
How can
See, that's it, Jeff. So man-made objects don't work.
I
But a
don't
piece
know.
of rock
But
through the
Piece of
noggin
rock
will
to the
kill you.
skull does.
And since that was able to stop it, we should also be able to disconnect his claw. Chunk. It's like he removes that
We've all
claw
eaten
like.
crab. Yeah, we've all eaten crab. We know it takes some crackling and
Yeah.
crunch.
All you
I
need
know.
is one of them
That was-
fancy picks like he had, and it just comes apart.
Yeah.
So I
A
just that
giant
stuff. I
monster.
was dying laughing at that stuff. I don't know. And the actors are playing it so serious. It's a typical Corman, right? And that crab, like this one shot. I'm sorry, but this when you see this leg in close up, you don't want to see it too close. It just kind of looks like paper mache with lacquer on it, or
That's the
something to
fatty
make it
deposit.
shiny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Right.
That's that's
It's
the
got
fatty
that ring
deposit
around
that
the
they-
middle.
Yeah, they love that over there.
She's in a what was the word she used? She's in a dainty way or something. She's in a,
No,
Oh,
you have it.
It's a,
Delicate.
they used to say it all.
she's in a
condition.
delicate condition.
Something like that. Yeah.
Delicate condition.
Yeah. Can't say
Hey.
pregnant yet.
You couldn't say pregnant yet, right? Exactly.
Not about crabs anyway, especially.
Circling back to
Well,
Latin
you think
American
crabs? People wouldn't have a problem with crabs. My crab's
Yeah, you
pregnant again. I'm sorry. I'll shut up
Alrighty.
again.
She's expecting a little bundle.
And something about we're not going to like all the little pitter patter or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way,
the big grandma crabs in the bottom cake, and then crab booties.
Little booty.
Claw booties.
so Ed Nelson and Beach Dickerson operated the crabs. Ed Nelson, who played the Navy
just-
lieutenant.
This whole movie has leaving a bad taste in my mouth. There's so many double entendres here. I'm about to go insane.
Well, Jeff, I guess we shouldn't be surprised in a Corman film that the actors are doubling as the
Right.
No,
special
no,
effects
not at all.
technicians.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
No, and I believe that I looked this up because I've read it somewhere before, but it was about how Ed Nelson just sort of got involved in this one, and that's how he got the part in Bucket of Blood. That
Big things ahead.
he just showed up and did stuff, when they were shooting this. And that guy, talk about a guy who's got a long career. So you guys recognize Ed Nelson?
Not really yet.
Really?
But you're gonna make me do so.
No, I just said he had 192 credits.
What is wrong with him?
And just about every TV show, and then had some recurring parts in TV shows. And anyway, Logan's Run. I know.
Oh yeah, I recognize him.
The TV show or the movie?
Oh no, I don't.
Didn't say.
It's too late. I can't go back.
No, never mind.
It was a
Don't
TV
use
show.
that
It was a
back arrow,
TV show. It was a TV
There's
show.
a back arrow, Jeff, that you can use. And
Don't.
make
Um,
things easier.
He killed 3 people last time.
Well,
I think that's
A lot
it
of
for this
people-
one. Any final comments? Anybody?
yes, I have some.
Daphne, quit
Much
laughing.
like the film.
I'm
itself,
sorry. Sorry. I was just
I
looking that Ed Nelson was in Police Academy 3 back in training. So
Oh,
Wow.
there you go. Sorry.
You or me, Jeff.
Joseph, everybody. Joseph.
go ahead,
Okay.
Joseph.
Much like the fact that there is a 4-minute video on YouTube that we mentioned, which has all the crab highlights from Attack of the Crab Monsters. Please keep an eye out for the 4-minute YouTube version of when we actually talked about Attack of the Crab Monsters in this episode.
Oh Lord.
It was bad. Okay, it was bad.
I love
It
that.
was-
I love that someone did that, though. I love that someone compiled the 4 minutes of all the crap.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
in these ways that the
Thankful.
internet is a wonderful thing.
Wonderful thing,
I'm
exactly.
thankful that they did. Oh, yeah. It's, there are fun bad movies. There are bad movies, and like Chad said at the very beginning, let's circle back around. This is somewhere in the middle. It's not super fun and hilarious. The actors are committed to taking it seriously, which has a certain charm too. But it's not so bad that it's not unwatchable, but
Mhm.
it's not so good, like Daphne said, that any of us are going to rush back to watch it a second time. Although Jeff, of all of us, Jeff's the only one who saw it twice, and I think he's trying
got
to give
the-
us reasons to go back.
He has the Blu-ray coming.
Yeah.
I would have.
Autograph.
I would
Kino
have.
Lorbe Blu-ray.
I would have. If it was available,
I'm
I
sure-
would have.
I'm sure you can get it on eBay for 3 digits, so,
Right. That's
including
That's
the
not
decimal point.
happening. All right. Well, that's it for this episode.
That was
Yeah.
something.
Just see it. Just go see it.
Go
Just
watch Attack of
it.
the Staff Monsters.
Or
It's
watch the
hilarious.
4 minutes. Watch the 4-minute
4
video
minutes.
if you want.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
suggest
don't know
watching
what-
the 4 minutes.
Just watch it. It's Corman.
Joseph saved me from ever having to watch this movie again with one YouTube video.
So we do have some feedback, and it's a really long one.
Oh,
From a friend of mine, and we'll skip parts of it just because it's about other parts. So this is from Andy
I
L, and
see.
we exchange
You do?
emails periodically. So he said he's been kind of behind and he's catching up. First, he makes a comment about Hitcher, which I put over on the 80s podcast. Then he makes a comment. Secondly, since he's not a regular on the classic era, but still someone whose insight I very much appreciate, tell Bill that Eyes Without a Face was absolutely on TV in the New York area back in the 60s. I believe it was more likely to show up on the Late Late Show, but I would often go through the TV guide to see what was on at 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday night and set my alarm to watch things on my small black and white TV. Somebody else that did that stuff. And then he gets into Bad Seed. As an interesting aside to the Bad Seed discussion, Shelley Fabre was the niece of Nanette Fabre, and both were TV staples for many years. They both pronounced their name as Fabre. Shelley started her fame on Donna Reed, but was in a lot of other programs. Second aside, since you mentioned Warner Brothers, my mother briefly dated Jack Warner in the 40s, but was already pretty serious about my dad, who she soon married. But I do have an autographed copy of the first edition of Animal Farm signed by Jack that he gave her as a present, which is interesting that Jack Warner would sign a copy of Animal Farm.
Animal Farm. Mhm.
it must have been like, here's a book I think you'll like, Jack.
Oh. Mhm.
Probably. And now he's told some other stories. I'm going to feel bad I can't remember, but I think one of them was about Peter Lorre. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, about his mom and Peter Lorre. And I think maybe one with Harpo Marx too. That she worked in an area where she had contact with these people, and that he told stories that kind of supported their public persona. And a third aside, I do hope Joseph Perry isn't gone for good. Remember, this is Bad Seed to back in this winter. Daphne is a good addition, but I still miss Aaron Santos and now Joseph. Of course, I realize that people do pass away or move on to other things, but good insights is always appreciated. And that's one of the reasons I try to stay with the casts you're involved in.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I just take summer and winter vacations off because I'm not at my home during those times, and the places I'm at, the Wi-Fi is totally unreliable, and I would just be holding up the show. So thank you for saying that. I miss being here too when I'm not here. That was a long absence, and hopefully this winter will be a shorter one.
Well, the best thing about that was we got to try out like a plethora of guest hosts. Well, not try out, invited, including Daphne, which just turned out very well.
Thank you.
Yes.
So back to Bad Seed. Let's segue from Daphne back to Bad Seed.
Please.
Good seed to bad seed.
Good seed to bad seed.
Speaking of
And
bad seeds,
I actually thought we talked about this. He says
Chad's
Patty
gonna go to
McCormick-
Seaman again.
Patty McCormick was long typecast in her signature role as Rhonda in The Bad Seed, which definitely made it hard to get other roles for a while. I was surprised that you didn't bring up her role in Mommy, which was basically billed as her Rhonda being grown up psychopath mother. Again, nowhere near the quality of The Bad Seed, but interesting nonetheless. And I thought we talked about that. I know I watched those movies, but maybe I did. Maybe that was off.
Maybe it was
Offline
off
or-
because I remember talking about it too. But yeah, maybe it was before we were recording.
I actually read the book for the first time because it was those two movies with Mommy were like championed by Max Allan Collins, who lives in Muscatine, Iowa, and was the Dick Tracy guy and all that stuff. So
We have a Batman reference.
there we go.
Mac Allan Collins.
oh yeah, he wrote
Right?
Batman. Yeah,
Yeah.
And he says, I
Yeah.
actually read the book for the first time about 2 years ago and do recommend it. Very well written and even more thought-provoking than the movie, which I kind of got the idea that it did because of this guy's background and his interest in psychology, etc.
Mhm.
Although the film is indeed one of a long list of favorites that I've seen a number of times and do recommend highly to others. A quick read, but very well done. The play was very popular on Broadway from what I heard, and Maxwell Anderson was a very highly respected author and playwright. So it had a lot of cred and good buzz going into film production. I'm sure that helped with the nominations. I heard that the ending was pushed onto the story by the producers, both with the killer child meeting her end as retribution for her sins, and the after the story add-on to show that the child didn't really die, but still punished for her misdeeds. And I don't remember if we talked about that or not, but this was still part of the code days. It hadn't totally gone away yet. So you couldn't have somebody that bad coming out okay at the end, getting away with it. The title Bad Seed became synonymous with this type of character and indeed was used in a number of inferior films as the basis for the story. Probably the most famous knockoff was The Good Son, starring Macaulay Culkin. A long time ago, I came to realization that I will probably never get through everything I want to watch, listen to, and read, but I keep on trying. Thank you all for continuing to entertain, live long, and prosper. Andy L.
thank you. Thanks, Andy.
Yay.
Thank you, Andy.
So,
That's nice.
yeah, Andy is a loyal listener, and he sends me emails like this periodically, and I really appreciate them. And I need to reply to
very much
this.
so.
That's awesome.
He sounds like he's had a very interesting upbringing. His mom knew a lot of people in the industry. All right. So that was it for feedback at this point in time. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Next up is Daphne's Pick. What are we watching, Daphne? Do you remember?
Totally Rasputin, the madman.
Yes.
Wow, I got it.
Christopher Lee. You and
Talk
Chad,
about being put on the
your-
spot.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
putting your titles in like 2 months ahead of time.
Chad, what's 2 plus 2?
So Hammer and Christopher Lee.
Yes.
This is a good pick. I
Thank you.
actually have wanted to watch this for a while, so
Yeah,
I've
I'm
never
looking
seen
forward
this
to it.
one, so I'm looking
good
forward to
excuse.
it.
So there's plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or make comments on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and whatever those young folks say about alerts,
You got to ring the bell.
you got to ring the bell.
So you get alerts every time we have a new episode come out. You get an alert.
Yes. So catch
It'll
us again here.
It'll be me too going, Classic era, classic era, classic era.
I love it. Can we please do that? Can we please?
That's you know.
I'm
Make
sorry,
that
guys.
a
I'm
drum
just really excited to be back. That's all.
Instead of a
Well,
drum
we're glad
roll,
you're
we'll
here.
do classic era.
Glad you're here. Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the classic era. There's only decades of horror can do it. Say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.